Why do you look like your mom or dad? Find out in this fun science lesson on Heredity.
Okay, grab a seat and let's dive right into this. Welcome everybody to today's exciting explainer. Our topic is heredity, the ultimate classroom lesson. I am absolutely thrilled you're here because today we're going to put on our scientist hats and explore the amazing, invisible, and sometimes totally surprising world of heredity. Think of me as your classroom teacher for the next few minutes. We're going to take some giant, complicated scientific ideas and break them down into fun, bite-sized pieces. So are you ready to discover the secrets hiding inside your very own body? Let's go.
Here's our science schedule for today. We'll start with an intro to heredity, then open up the DNA instruction manual, compare inherited and acquired traits, meet a scientist named Mendel, tackle a big class quiz, and wrap it all up with a summary and a bonus challenge.
Section 1. Introduction to Heredity. I want you to take a second and really think about a huge question. Have you ever wondered why you look like your parents? Why might you have your dad's nose or your mom's curly hair, or maybe even your grandfather's height? I mean, you aren't an exact clone of your parents, but you definitely share pieces of how they look. Why does that happen? Well, it's not magic, it's science.
This all happens because of something called heredity. Now, heredity is a big science word, but it just describes how living things pass on their special features to their children. And those special features? We call them traits. Traits are simply the observable characteristics that get passed down from a parent to a child. So, your eye color? That's a trait. Your natural hair color? Trait. Whether you grow up to be super tall or a bit on the shorter side, that is a trait too.
Just look at how much variety we have when it comes to traits. If we took a survey of our class right now, we would see a huge, beautiful mix. We could count who has detached earlobes, who has dimples when they smile, who has freckles, and who can do that funny thing where they roll their tongue into a tube. Every single person has a totally unique combination of traits, which is exactly what makes you, you.
Section 2. DNA, the instruction manual.
So the really crucial point here is understanding exactly how you get these traits. Deep inside almost every single cell in your body is a tiny, microscopic instruction manual called DNA. To make this super easy to picture, imagine your DNA is like a bunch of candy. Picture your mom holding a giant jar filled with lots of different types of candy, and your dad holding his own jar filled with totally different candy. When you are created, it's like you get to close your eyes and pick half of your candy pieces from mom's jar and half from dad's jar. You end up with a completely unique mix of instructions. And even your brother or sister will grab a slightly different handful of candy from those same jars. That's exactly why siblings look similar, but not completely identical.
Now, what's really interesting is how those candy pieces, or as scientists call them genes, actually behave. See, some genes are very bossy. We call them dominant. A dominant gene shows its specific trait even if you only get it from one parent. Think of it like a really loud kid in the classroom. If they're there, you are definitely going to hear them. But other genes are a bit shy. We call them recessive. A recessive gene only shows up if you get it from both your mom and your dad.
I want you to picture this in your mind. Or hey, maybe even try this science experiment at home one day. Did you know you can actually see DNA with your bare eyes? If you take a strawberry, smush it all up, and add a little bit of cold rubbing alcohol, a magical reaction happens. Within just a few seconds, you'll see a white, cloudy substance float right to the top of the liquid. You can literally pick it up with a little stir. That white, gooey cloud, that is the actual DNA instruction manual of the strawberry. Isn't science absolutely amazing?
Section 3. Inherited versus acquired traits.
Just like in life, there are two different ways to get things. Think about money for a second. You could inherit a huge fortune from a long-lost, super wealthy great uncle. You didn't do anything to earn it, you were just born into it. That's exactly what an inherited trait is, like your eye color or hair color. On the other hand, you could acquire wealth by working really hard, saving your allowance, and learning a new skill. That's an acquired trait. You cannot pass down your hard-earned math knowledge or your awesome piano playing skills through your genes. You have to actually learn those things during your life.
Let's look at some cool real-life applications out in nature. When puppies are born in the exact same litter, they all look a bit different from each other because they inherited different handfuls of that genetic candy from their parents. A baby deer inherits camouflage spots to help it hide from predators in the woods. A tiger inherits its specific stripe pattern. But here is a wild twist. Poison dart frogs are super toxic, right? Well, they aren't born that way. Scientists actually believe they acquire their poison from the specific toxic insects they eat in their environment. So their environment actively influences their traits. Now class, pay close attention to this because here is a very common mistake students make. Sometimes people think that if a trait is really common in a group of people, it must be better or it must be dominant. That is completely false. How common a trait is has absolutely nothing to do with whether a gene is dominant or recessive. And remember, acquired traits, like a scar you got falling off your skateboard or your ability to shoot a perfect three-pointer in basketball, cannot be passed down to your kids. Let's do a quick physical experiment right now, wherever you're sitting. Hold your hand up and give me a thumbs up. Now look at your thumb. Does it stand straight up, or does the top part bend really far backward? If it bends backward, you have an inherited trait called a hitchhiker's thumb. If it's completely straight, you have a regular thumb. This is a pure genetic difference you inherited directly from your parents.
Section 4. Mendel and Fun Facts. Let's travel back in time for a minute. His name was Gregor Mendel. He was a scientist and a monk who lived way back in the 1800s. Believe it or not, people back then had no real idea why children looked like their parents. It was a total mystery. Mendel solved it by working in his garden. He carefully mixed and studied over 28,000 green and yellow pea plants. By counting exactly how many peas were green, yellow, smooth, or wrinkly, he discovered the mathematical patterns of how parent plants passed features to their offspring. He literally changed science forever, just by looking at peas.
And because I absolutely love sharing crazy science history with you guys, here are some rapid-fire fun facts. Did you know Gregor Mendel actually dreamed of being a teacher, but he failed his teaching exam? Luckily, he kept working hard anyway. Or how about this? Ancient Greeks had such weird superstitions about plants that some refused to eat beans because they thought beans held the souls of the dead. Speaking of really unique traits, the famous abstract artist Kandinsky had an amazing trait where he could actually see colors when he listened to jazz music. The artist Escher, who used math to make those mind-boggling drawings, actually influenced the creator of The Simpsons. Oh, and the world's first drum machine? It was called the Rhythmicon. Just some fun trivia for your next science party.
Section 5. Time for the big classroom quiz.
Let's speed through our 10 review questions. See if you can beat me to the answers. Tiny units passing traits? Those are genes. They carry the info. What holds the genes? DNA. It's the instruction manual. An example of an inherited trait? Eye color. You're born with it. An acquired trait? Scars. Those happen during life. Who studied all those P's? Our buddy Mendel. What shows up with just one allele? Dominant genes. They mask the recessive ones. What helps animals hide? Camouflage. Where do dart frogs get their poison? Their diet, which shows environment matters. What are animal children called? Offspring. And what do we call it when you have the exact same gene form? Homozygous, meaning identical alleles. Pew, great job.
All right, true or false time. Puppies in a litter look identical? False. They get totally different gene mixes. Common traits are always dominant? False again. Remember, frequency does not equal dominance. You get exactly half your genes from mom? True. Half from mom, half from dad. Mendel mixed over 28,000 peas? True. He studied massive numbers of them. And finally, acquired traits are passed down? Definitely false. You cannot pass down your awesome guitar skills to your DNA.
Let's finish up the quiz with some short answers. Feel free to shout them out. Define heredity. It's passing traits from parent to child. What's the candy jar analogy? It means you get a random mix of DNA instructions from each parent. Name an animal's inherited trait. Tiger stripes. Name a trait influenced by the environment. Being tall, because even if you have tall genes, you still need good nutrition from your environment to grow. And finally, who is the father of genetics? Say it with me, Gregor Mendel.
Section 6. Summary and your bonus challenge.
Here are your major takeaways from today's lesson. First, heredity passes traits from generation to generation using DNA as the ultimate instruction manual. Second, you inherit exactly half of those instructions from your mom and half from your dad, creating a totally unique you. Third, always remember the difference. Inherited traits are locked into your genetics, while acquired traits are learned or happen to you during your lifetime. And finally, never forget that your environment, like the food you eat and the sun you soak up, can actually change how your traits appear.
Before I let the bell ring on this explainer, I have a bonus challenge for you. Tonight, when you're sitting around the dinner table or just hanging out with your family, I want you to secretly become a family geneticist. Look around the room. Can you spot 3 inherited traits, maybe a cleft chin or a hitchhiker's thumb? And then, can you spot 3 acquired traits, like a scar on a knee or someone speaking a second language? Science is happening all around you, every single day. But ask yourself this: if our environment can change our acquired traits, could the way we live our lives today eventually change the human DNA of the future? Keep your eyes open, keep asking those big questions, and I'll see you in the next explainer.
If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a new lesson.